Well, greetings and good evening. Lovely to be opening up this talk on pressure to play and discovering the game of life. So this is interactive. We welcome your comments in the chat. And I was drawn to this quote. You may have heard of it. George Bernard Shaw. We don't stop playing because we grow old. How does it finish? So we don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. So does it resonate with you? It's fascinating to see that children naturally play and we learn. And in some companies, they're using this method and it's shown to increase productivity and creativity, engagement, and job satisfaction. But if we're not working for a company like that, how do we bring this attitude to life, not just work, but also every aspect? And this fascinating area, we're going to be welcoming Dr. Prashant, and background is medical, but in the last few decades has been focusing more on the psyche and that connection with quality of life. So we do welcome, if you would like to come in camera, feel free. And yeah, enjoy. And over to Prashant. Good evening.
Thank you. And hello, and appreciate your interest in the play and understanding the subtlety of life. So that is what we are going to discuss in today. But before the play and the game, let us create a minute of silence. And in this minute, we step beyond the play. Any play is play because there is a home. That's why we get play. So here we step behind this world for 1 minute. And it may mean we have to close eyes, but experiment. Concentration is the important part in this. Thank you. We will be using the whiteboard during our discussion. And you will see this board on your screen. There are certain things in our life which we see as enjoyable activities. Like people may be going to work and doing many things, cooking. But there are certain things they see as enjoyable. And that includes game. Game is one area where we see it as fun. That is, people are looking forward to that. To play game and to even watch game. Another thing we all are interested in listening to story or writing stories, the stories we like. We like to watch dramas. Different versions of it, but we like this. These are enjoyable activities. We like to go on holidays. we very much enjoy circus, and in this I'm including roller coaster experience. People pay money to experience all these things. We don't want to lose our dreams. I'm meaning here to dream at night. And big area I would like to add extra here separately, computer games. These are various things. We see these as enjoyable activities in our lives. And what is happening in all of this as opposed to our ordinary life? Like we have our life, we have our, as was said, job, and what is the difference between a game and a job? When we are playing a game, we see this one pattern. There is a primary world. That is where your home is, that is where your family is, that is where your work is, your treasures are. That is your primary word, if we use that word for that. And then for 1 hour, you are going into this secondary word, a game. You are going onto the field for 1 hour. And then you are coming back to your primary world. Primary world is there. And that is what is your world for stability. That is your world of security. That's your base, primary world. We mentioned at the beginning, if the primary world was not there, then there is no game. You won't see it as a game. So there is this primary world. It is providing you safety, security. That is the base. And then you go into the secondary world. Secondary world, you see it largely as extra. It is cancelled. It is not an issue for you. It literally, your world is not affected even the slightest if the game is cancelled. Now your home is there, your food is there, your job is there, and your relations, parents, everything is intact, and the game is extra. And that's why it becomes a game, it becomes enjoyable. So we are creating this very clear distinction. There is a primary world and there is a secondary world in a game. So you will see this pattern in a game. You will see the same pattern in a story. Story, you got your primary world, you are listening to a story. And story, there can be dragons and there can be, villains. You are happy to deal with it. It is not affecting your primary world. Primary world is safe, secure, it is there. You are watching dramas and same thing, primary. You go on holidays, you see the same thing. It is not affecting your primary world. You got your home and your job. It is all stable. For 2 weeks go elsewhere. And when you are away on holidays, you may be staying in a camp. You may be having a holiday in a forest. It can be a very simple place where you are staying. It may be a very poor place, but you still see it as a holiday and you feel you had a great time because you are entering into a secondary world. Your primary world is intact. And as if you are taking the security of the primary with you. If you are to forget about your primary world, then it is not a great holiday for you. This, when you are on holiday, from time to time you check that your primary world is still all okay there. That is what is important for you, to have that assurance about the primary world. So you see this interesting pattern with all these areas, whether you are playing a roller coaster experience, and whether you are in a circus, in a roller coaster. I like to share one example with one friend of ours here. She said she went to one roller coaster place in London. It is called London Dungeon. And in her words, we screamed and screamed, she says, but we had a great time. And she also said, we had a great time because we knew we are safe. And that is exactly what happens here. When you know you are safe, that is what makes it into a game. That is what makes it into a story. I like the interaction from you all along, and so feel free uh, to make your comments and want to ask you a question. What is this secondary world? You know, if we are to invent a game, what are the factors required in the secondary world? So that it becomes an enjoyable activity. You can, just like roller coaster, you can invent things. In the same way, what else can you be creative? Introduce some activity and it will become enjoyable. So try and reflect on this, but I would like to hear from you. Also, encouragement for you to come in the light and sound camera. If
Virtual reality experience. But the is one comment, but as to the roller coaster, they're unpredictable, aren't they? So you don't always know what will happen next, especially if it's like a ghost tour or something like that. So some prizes, someone said it must be fun, so there should be, I don't know, maybe you can expand on what you mean by fun in this context. Entertaining challenges. Yeah, no, it's a game. It should be challenging enough that we feel we can meet some of the goals at least. Yeah.
Yeah, they should be challenging, they should be frightening. And the more frightening they are, more the enjoyment, because your primary world is safe. That's why you can handle to go in that direction. If the primary world was not safe, then you won't be able to go in that direction. But now we are going to see one more area here. And what is that area? With computer games. If we take that example, computer games, so there is a primary world. Primary world is your world, family, life, and then you come into this secondary world of computer game. And what is happening in this computer game? The experts, companies, they are using their intelligence to make this secondary world convincing and more sophisticated. There is more glitter and more songs in that computer world, and as a result, the player is now getting drawn into this secondary world more and more. And as a result of this, the World Health Organization in Geneva, WHO, they use the term emotional disconnect. New diagnosis, is introduced, and this is in the last 5 years. And then the word used is emotional disconnect, connected with gaming, and it is because of the computer games. What happens with this emotional disconnect? They are so drawn into this secondary world that they are now disconnected from their primary world. That's why the term used is emotional disconnect. They ignore their parents, they ignore their family, ignore their home, and in time they are disconnected from the body and themselves. So they are not eating, and not sleeping. It is out of their control. They are drawn into this secondary world in an abnormal way. And when that happens, what's the result? They can't enjoy the game either. In some cases, some have died as a result of this. If we are ignoring this, what will be the result? The secondary world has become the primary world for them, and that is the shame. And they are losing this primary world because they are disconnected from it, and they cannot enjoy the secondary world because they see it as a primary. They are looking for security, they are looking for comfort, they are looking for some assurance and stable position, and it is not meant for that. The game has got beginning and end, and changes and unpredictability and suspense and challenges. But if you are looking for the primary world, that is not offered there, and it is like a big loss at the personal level. But they are not useful for the community. If you are disconnected from the primary, then you are not useful to your family, not useful to your friends. This is seen in our present world, and these cases are increasing all over the world where there is emotional disconnect because of the game. Now, what we are saying here, what has happened to the individuals in the computer game? This is precisely what has happened to human beings. When we are seeing this whole our world with the spiritual side, if someone is spiritually awake, and from that emotional disconnect, and if they come into the emotional connect, they are awake, they are able to see what has happened here, what has happened to human beings. That human beings, what we see here is there is a pull, the downward spiral, there is a pull. This entire physical world, they will see, those who are enlightened, they will see that this entire physical world is like a matrix without any exaggeration. It is a secondary world, and it is a game. And there is a primary world. But we have been in this spiral for a period of time as a human race. And then we reached a state of emotional disconnect. We are disconnected from our true home. We are disconnected from our true family. We are disconnected from our true treasures. True treasures are not in the computer world. True treasures are in your world, real world. And we are disconnected from the true self. This is what has happened as a result. And we are now drowning into this secondary world. What we see here, this is secondary world. And a secondary world, when anyone is in such a state, we experience another phenomena, and that is we don't know that we don't know. Don't know. It is a bit like, say, someone is dreaming. When he's dreaming, he doesn't know he's dreaming. Only when he wakes up, then he understands he was dreaming. Someone who has got psychosis, during that spell of psychosis, he doesn't say, I got a problem. When he recovers, then he understands what was happening. So something similar here. When we are in that state of emotional disconnect, he doesn't say, I have got emotional disconnect. He is disconnected. He doesn't even know what he has lost. He is living in this secondary world and he is drowning in it. That is becoming his primary world. So in this, as was said, someone who is connected, reconnected to his primary world, he can see. One who has woken up, he can understand what has happened to everyone and what did happen to himself, that we have lost into the secondary world. And in this secondary world, we are expecting that world to give us security, give us stable, no one should die, I should not die. We are looking for immortality, all in this secondary world. And all the institutions, like say government institutions and science institutions, various charity organizations, they are all running around trying to provide what we are asking for. We want more security here, more stability. They are running around to get it. Now it is impossible to get that at this level. The game is not meant to be eternal. The body is not meant to be there forever. And everyone is leading a life of a failure as a result. They constantly feel something has to be fixed here, and everyone is a failure, governments as well as the individuals. What is the spiritual answer to this? Spiritual answer is we need to help the players to reconnect from emotional disconnect to they need to wake up, come out of this dream state and wake up. And when they are awake, they are connected to the waking reality. And when they are awake, they discover they got a true home. And it is an eternal home, secure home. They discover they got a true family and they have a true treasures. Waking will help. It is not just a nice theory or some ideas, concept. All these concepts should lead to us making that process, taking that steps, and then going through the process of awakening. And then he discovers the true self, and not just a waking home, but he even is disconnected from himself. So he discovers the true self. In other words, until then, his notion of self itself is false. He is into this, avatar in the computer game, avatar, he thinks that is self. And now when he has woken up, he realizes that is a part of the game. And he is very different. He is real world. Let us hear some thoughts from you. Hello.
Thank you. It's such a fascinating idea that we, in fact, this arrow, the purple one, going through the secondary reality, that question that's sometimes asked, are we guests here? Do we have any plans to stay here? And that feels like a good clue, because unless anyone has a plan, we are definitely passing through this physical world experience. And that feels like a very grounding place to start, to contemplate And definitely this world doesn't promise some of the things that we are longing for, such as stability, predictability, true security, unconditional love. But yet we know those things. We have a reference for them. So it'd be interesting if there are any other clues that you can think of. A couple of queries here. One is, but this secondary reality, when it is scary, it feels so real. We even get pulled into films, don't we? You know, in that feels real. And another comment, but we don't remember any other world.
You know, as was said, when we are in the dream, you know, dream is like a secondary world. When we are in the dream, that time you don't think of the waking world. And that dream has become your world. It consumes you completely. And that's why we said when you are in that state, you don't even know that you are dreaming. Only when you wake up, then you realize, that was a dream and there was a home behind. And there is a different world altogether when you wake up. And so when you are still dreaming, if you just have a thought, even someone who is dreaming, he wakes up. Sometimes in the middle of the dream, he wakes up. If in the dream he gets a thought, am I dreaming? Is this a dream? Is there some another world behind? If this thought comes to him in the dream, then he's lucky, because that thought can lead him to awakening. Something similar here also. Right now, what is happening, we are creating this thought in you. We are in this dream level, in this dimension of dream. And ordinarily, no one is thinking that there is any waking world. But there are clues. Clues are there. Someone is sensible, he will make use of these clues. But if someone is really a gross intellect, he will ignore the clues. But here is a big clue. We are directly creating these thoughts that this may be a dream. We are here talking and all, but this may be a dream. And if you think about it further, is it really a dream? And is there a waking world? This kind of questioning process, this has power to take us out of this. It will not be permanent, but at least we awaken, we understand what is the waking reality. Experience is authority. Once you have experienced it, and no one can disprove you that it doesn't exist. But in this, our dream, one extra factor is here, and this factor is factor of Mr. Ego. When we are in this secondary world, when we are emotionally disconnected, and when we have lost the sense of the true self, even, we give birth to this false sense of I. And it has got many heads, so different identities. We give birth to this, like a I connected with Prashant, with this body role but a lot broadly we can use the word ego for this. Now, if you wake up and wake, then what dies? Ego will disappear. And when you have given birth to the ego and it is made big over a period of time, then ego is not going to just die just because you have understood now that about the waking world and you want to reconnect. Ego doesn't say just you go, and ego doesn't want you to wake up. So ego wants you to come back in the dream. So this is another game that is going on within us, game at another level, where you are pulled into the dream world and that is the waking world beyond.
It's good to know this is another game, isn't it? The inner game. There's a
Yes.
comment when we experience our true primary reality, we feel no fear. It's quite nice sharing. And yes, this feeling that when we're connected, then our attitude will be of play here, because the basic needs are met for this the true self, this player. You're not, everything is not so serious. And so what you're saying, it sounds like the baseline experience is joy and playful. In the secondary world, we just need to change the glasses of which we see it, or the awakening. There's a question, what does a person do when they wake up?
Sure. What do we do when we wake up? When instead of being asleep or dreaming, when you wake up, what happens? That you are, to begin with, you are useful to yourselves. You are safer when you are awake, and you are useful to others. The waking reality, there is a true family, there is a true world, true treasures. You are in the truth now. And when you are in truth, let's say if you want to be useful to others, if you want to help others, like right now, some people maybe want to help others. What kind of help can they give when they themselves are into such a delusion? They don't even know who the others are, real friends are, real your family is. You are in this dream world and you're trying to help someone. In the Gita scripture, there are a few lines that says that life is in vain. Their ideas of progress is in vain, their ideas of success is in vain, their ideas of achievement, their labor is useless, and they cry for nothing, they are happy for nothing, because they are in the dream, in a full delusion. When they eventually wake up, they realize they wasted their time. When you are awake, now you are connected to your truth, and so your ideas of success and achievements and progress, it has meaning. Your idea of love, it has meaning. Do you know whom you are loving and whom you want to help? Do they need help? And of course, they need help. If your friend was unconscious or into some kind of a, like this game, he has become emotionally disconnected and lost in a computer game. You want to see how you can take him out of it. In the same way here also, when you are awake, you are useful to others, you are useful to yourselves. But now you are useful to yourself in a big way. You know what really can be done that will have long-term benefit for others, for you. Your understanding of karma. One who is awake is connected to these things in a right way.
Very nice. Thank you for the question as well. Is it another
I
query?
just want to add one more thing in this.
Yeah.
God is God just because he is awake. He's out of this and the emotional disconnect. And that is why people pray to God, ask God, and they know God can help them just because of that. He is awake, and as a result, he is connected to the truth, as his intervention has great value compared to anyone else's intervention. That gives us a little bit of an insight, the contrast. Yeah, please continue.
It's fun to play with the things which I think most on this call have probably experienced the power of meditation or have different philosophy, but to play with this computer game analogy, and many things actually can fit, like the notion of God who is benevolent. How can he be? Because he's not deceived by the PlayStation and separates the players from the pixels, and it brings a fresh feeling to spiritual wisdom. So yes, interesting.
To add one more aspect here, when you are what happens when you're out of this emotional disconnect and you're reconnected, what happens? Now, when you are reconnected, you are awake, you win the sky, you also win the earth. So you are discovering your home, and it is like the greatest wonder in the universe, in world of disbelief, in a world of joy, love, contentment, and world of immortality. You are discovering that dimension of yours, in a world of disbelief, and you are seeing this secondary world as a game. You understand the game for what it is. This world of ours is an extraordinary gift. I'm talking here in our physical world. We were talking earlier that different secondary realities, they are enjoyable for us. If we like the game, story, drama, and holidays, and we like circus and roller coasters, that's what we said at the beginning. When we wake up to the primary world, from emotional disconnect, we come to the reconnect. Then we discover that this physical world is a game, but in this game, it is so sophisticated. This game, in this game, there is a story. You need to understand the game, but you understand the game when you are conscious. Our ego cannot understand this game. He doesn't even see it as a game. But with that narrow intellect, he cannot play this game. He understands this is a grand performance going on, a drama. Every second, see the details, the little things paid attention to. He sees it as a great holiday. All within one. It is a game, it is a PlayStation, it is also a story world, it is also a drama, it is also a great holiday. You have come from your home. Every experience is a great gift for you, and non-stop circus going on, all around you, especially if you are driving in some motorways. You see the circus even better. And you are in a roller coaster, you are going up and down and round and out, thrown out in a roller coaster. Internally, you are absolutely safe. That's why it is. This is also a dream we are really experiencing. Who is experiencing the dream? The true self. Prashant is part of the dream, but one who is experiencing it is a true self, and we are seeing this virtual game here that is offered to us. You are seeing all this, and on top of this, you are connected to the truth. You are connected to God. There. So just one step of waking up. Disproportionate shift in our quality of life. Sarah wanted to add something.
Very happy to hear the way this is connecting, that you win the primary world and the secondary reality, because some philosophies talk about, I want to transcend and be free and merge. And, you know, each philosophy has its own, but here we're saying you don't need to move away from anything or anyone, but change the glasses or change the notion of, you know, understand the self, the waking up, and then you precisely do the same. You can be in the same job, but the image of the lotus, your independence, whilst in whatever situation with the game spirit, it's very extraordinary. Something to definitely reflect on, and something that has come to my mind in this subject. It's as if the game is there to trick you, so it's a very good game. We need power, and it'd be nice to hear more from you on this, because just to give some examples, the food that we are given, processed food with things added that actually make us dependent or addicted. Medicine might also have similar effect, but the apps that are designed to keep us hooked, the advertising, which is constantly telling us we need something outside ourselves, many other things, you know, the idea of progress, which is unsustainable. So as long as we know beforehand, this is part of a good game, it's not a conspiracy, it's just the way things are, to take care of the self, the true self. So yeah, it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on that, and the power to hold the security of the primary as we come into the secondary reality.
To show some slides, and and connected with the game and our brain, and that it will be nice to see what happens to our brain. And in this slide, we are showing that the right hemisphere, left hemisphere, and that we got these two sides. And largely, these two sides have got very different functions. What is written here. But enough, there are some discussion in this area, which functions where, and there is overlap, but enough to know that within us, there are these distinct functions. If, say, left side of the brain gets damage, accidental damage, or sometimes, some stroke, some circulation stops some part of the brain, there is more chance of he losing language, left side. If the stroke happens on the right side of the brain, then he won't get the same results. It will be different results, but language is not affected. So we largely know which functions are, they are not everywhere. There is a sort of very clear demarcation. There is a little overlap. And nicely seen that common function on the left side is we go into the expansion. Details of details. Like science is one good example of this. You see some object, you want to know what is inside this. You want to dissect further. You want to see the atom and inside what is beyond the atom. You are going to such details, and in this, minute areas. We had one program here for PhD students. There were about 50, 60 students, and we had an hour. And after us, the next person who was speaker, he was speaking about intermolecular space, and he has got a big books on it. And so, and we were telling them also that their PhD, it takes them into some petty, small area, going into details and details about molecules, about some atoms, about photons. And here is an exercise for them to go right out, go beyond this physical world, and it is good for our brain and mind to not be so caught up into such small area constantly. More you are seeing this big map, you will be better at dealing with intermolecular space. So science is like that. I want to show the same slide again. And at the left side dealing with the expansion, right side deals with the essence. And we are saying that these two functions are like the two wings of a bird. So bird needs both wings to fly. If the bird has just one wing, and we may need some slides change. If the bird has just one wing, next slide, then the bird cannot fly. And it can flap around, cannot fly. So in other words, to achieve excellence in anything you are dealing with, to achieve excellence, we need to work on both sides of the brain. Then you will achieve excellence. Education system will be a good education system that addresses these both sides. I'll give some examples with some next few slides. And the big question, yeah, next one. Here is a portrait of Newton, and he is seen as a father of physics and possibly a great man in the field of science. And in the Trinity College in Cambridge, people can see his handwritten notes, and those who study Newton, they have access to these handwritten notes. And those who have gone through his notes, they say that his emphasis is spiritual. His search was of much more than just physics and calculus. And in other words, there was a balance. There was the right side there and also the left side. That's why he could achieve excellence. As opposed to many other scientists of the world, they may say, I'm scientist, I don't want to know about anything else. I don't want to know about God. I'm scientist. Then they become with one scientist with one wing. We'll see the next slide. And here is another big man in the field of science, called father of modern physics. And again, next slide. And this is a statement by Einstein. Science without religion is lame. Not many scientists will say that. They want to avoid the word religion. Religion is dealing with the right brain. So here he says you need both. If you are not using both wings, then you are lame. If you are able to use both wings, you achieve excellence. Question, are we balanced? In our life, are we balanced? We'll see the next slide. And when are we balanced in our life? We are balanced when we play. And this is a very interesting thing for us to know. Then let us see what happens to our brain when we are playing. We give the example. We say, right now we are not going to listen to talk or things like that. We are going to play for the next 15 minutes. We are going to play. And the moment you say we are going to play for the next minute, your right brain works And right brain says, for the next 15 minutes, it is an extra. You immediately made it into a secondary reality. It is not, we are not in the primary world anymore. We are into secondary world. And so immediately you see it as a fun, you see it as a good time, it is a game. You don't, it is not going to affect you. You are secure, your primary world is safe. You understand that your life beyond the game, you are seeing the big map of your life, and you are saying it is not serious. Since it's a game, it is not serious. But having got all this right side attitude, now left side kicks in. And left side kicks in, you are going there to play and you are going there to win. And you want to score as many goals as possible. So you are going to the details. Left side means going to the expansion. You are using your past experience, you are using your skills, and you are the one who is saying it is serious. You are the same one who said it is not serious, and you are the same one who is saying it is serious. This is the paradox which we need to understand in a game. Which means within the person, there are very two opposing attitudes at the same time and in a equal ratio. It is not dominantly serious and a little bit not serious. No, it is not serious. It's a game. Also, it is serious. I'm playing to win, both at the same time. And in spiritual life, you will see these two completely detached, at the same time, fully loving. You are very light, at the same time, you are also mature, responsible. These two angles of the game. Then it becomes game. And that is what this our brain, when we are playing, you are holding that space, and at the right brain position, what is said here, you are holding that space that things are okay. You know the primary world. Everyone is okay. Everything is okay. And everyone is immortal. And then you are going to play. You are going into the situation. No, first thing you know that it's whole thing is extra. And now let us solve it. And that never a major, nothing is a crisis. You are playing to win, but you also know how to fall. And you also know how to start again. And so that is what these two attitudes, paradoxical attitudes that happen when you are playing. This also helps us to understand, when you are studying Murlis and studying the knowledge, you understand when there is this paradox spoken of, you understand why it is spoken, because when you are when you are woken up and understood the complete map, then our game has got a paradox. Game means there is a paradox. I would like to hear from you, and then we can show a few more slides if there is time.
Yeah, thank you. So probably helping to answer some of these questions that have come in. Sometimes a person can't see life positively because the feeling is life could be depressing, or you feel trapped. You might be doing things that you are restricting your true potential, and you're not doing what you truly want. So any comments on this? Many might be feeling like that.
And the first thing, with any player, he will have to check that he is not emotionally disconnected. If there is emotional disconnect, then regardless, there will be loss. Even then, if the victory comes, he gets more attached to things, and just a game, as was said, it is in vain. Everything is in vain when we are in this in a imbalanced way. So first step for us is to take steps to wake up. And when we are awake, then the game feelings are completely different. As was said earlier, you are understanding this world of disbelief, and you will never feel anyone. No one can deprive you, no one can deny you, no one can harm you. It is like you have won the biggest lottery. That is the first starting position of one who is reconnected. And from that position, you come in the world, everything appears like another gift. Every moment is a gift. We said it's a game. It is also a grand performance, and it is a roller coaster. And when you are not being harmed by any of these things, every moment is a gift. That is why people pay money and go to watch any say film, drama, circus. They pay money to watch because they see it as positive, and they don't want it to be cut short. They want every minute of it because they have paid. So also here it is like a whole thing, whole package. You see it as positive, and the details don't matter. Say if you are watching Cinderella, you don't say, I just want to see the prince and I don't want to see ugly sister. You want to see the whole thing. You enjoy the part of ugly sister, and you also enjoy the part of the prince.
It's interesting. I was just thinking when you were sharing that maybe when we have this falsehood inside, it's the game will be there to kind of challenge us to be to rise above that lower consciousness in a way. So sometimes these challenges that come may be there to awaken, because when the dream gets more like nightmare-ish or depressing, you're less drawn into it. So there's actually a benefit there. So yeah, that's certainly my experience, and I hear from many others. It's when life is giving you challenges that you're forced to kind of go deeper, and that's when then the richness of life is more experienced. So the second part of the question here, people use video games, for example, as an escape, but how do we avoid this? You've kind of answered it in a way already, but
Yeah, it's nothing wrong in playing a game. It can be a video game, it can be any game. It is great to play the game. What we are having a question, not to be deceived by the game. When one is disconnected from the primary world, that is where the defeat is. Otherwise, it is wonderful that there is a game and you play and enjoy and come back.
if it's to run away from feeling life is dull, so the big industries in the West are tertiary industries, aren't they? The movie industry, and even going out, the holidays and computer games, films, they all, in order to fill a void in a way. So, in a sense, I guess they're harmless, but do you see any other side to it?
Yeah, sure. If one is going into it because his world is, he finds it boring, and that's why he's going into the computer games, virtual games, then there is more chance that he may get deceived, and that he has to be aware of. And that is a weakness. Yeah.
think the journey of stepping back and giving the self permission to come to the primary world, meaning you don't have to think of the computer game of life. So much richness can come from not needing anything in those moments, and the more we understand, and that's quite profound, isn't it, that we don't need a certain person's company or be in a certain place to change the feelings. So that emotional reconnect is, even if it's a few moments, it gives a different programming to the mind that, there's a fullness. It's just even a few minutes, it can satisfy something quite deep. So
Yeah, absolutely.
one other simple question here. Why does ego want to get trapped into that secondary reality with that picture from earlier? Is it hedonism?
Ego means, just like you create an environment of what, any kind of environment, then some weeds will grow. It's another kind of environment you create, some bacteria will grow. You create an environment and that just promotes, the certain growth. One kind of environment will bring daffodils, another environment will bring something else. So you create an environment of ignorance, it will promote ego. Ego will flourish in that environment. And when we said the secondary world, you are seeing it as primary. You are seeing it as, and you already lost the sense of the true self, disconnected from the true self even. Then the ego will flourish because there is a space now of there is no notion of the self. So ego very, very quickly will take birth in that. And then ego becomes stubborn. Ego holds you in that. Ego wants to get bigger, stay alive and get bigger. This is the big milestone in our journey downwards. In our fall, this is the big milestone when one creates this false identity, ego.
At least we start to learn who the players are in this. One is the game of life, outer life, and one is the inner game. So to personify this lower consciousness, call it ego, then we know those responses of stress, anxiety, depression, and envy is coming from that lower consciousness. It helps to be a bit more objective, and the thought, maybe I can create a thought. What is it like to be a player, invisible player or invisible guest? What would the feeling be from that? And even if the ego's energy is still in the system, not to fight with it in the dark, but create a thought of light or thought of higher consciousness and just let that sit in the mind for 10 seconds. You're so empowered, aren't you? Otherwise, we think we have to fight the ego or maybe feed the ego to calm it down. So, to have these tools that nothing is without solution when it comes to those feelings. So, the option. So I know we've come to time, and if there's anything you'd like to share, final thoughts. I know we have a few more slides, but that's also an invitation to connect to some of our other sessions. Yeah.
We'll just show one lot of slides, just a few. Yes, we'll come to the next. Here we are showing few slides to show even in sport, if someone is balanced, he performs better. If someone is imbalanced, he cannot even perform game properly. And I will show a few slides here. This is the player in year 2001, Wimbledon. What you saw was a center court, and he was losing, this player, and he was losing because of himself. His every serve was hitting the net. It was not other player didn't have to even play. He serves, every serve is hitting the net. And he himself said he was nervous. Now here is a person with all skills. He reaches the finals of Wimbledon. So what happened? All along, he was saying this is fun. And when he was saying it is fun, it is not serious, right side brain was strong. He was able to hold that space. And when the right wing is strong, he can use the left wing. Skills are on the left side. So he was able to perform the best. When he reaches finals, then he is saying to himself, this is not fun anymore. This is finals. So the right side got paralyzed. And if you are not using the right wing, you cannot use your left side either. And he has got skills. That's why he reached finals, but he cannot use the skills. And there is a failure as a result. And the same happens with our lives and everywhere. And it appears, many times people might say, you are ignoring life. You are saying it is a game. It is all true. We are saying it is a game. It's a drama. It is a circus. But you are also the one who is playing to win, and more chances of you to win also. And you win at all levels. But we are winning the game. You know, as was said, you know to win. You also know how to fall. You also know how to start again. You enjoy the journey regardless. Maybe we'll stop here, and maybe I may ask Sarah to lead some meditation at the end.
Yes, sure. Thank you. I think there's quite a lot that's been discussed, and it might be worth revising even. It's such a deep subject that our potential for joy and capacity when we see the two sides of the brain, or fully right side. There is a joke that and now I've discovered what's wrong with my brain. In the left side, there's nothing right, and in the right side, there's nothing left. Just to bring that lightness. So this balance that life is the same, but we have this option to bring those two facets that play to win, but don't lose that game energy. And of course, this is about awakening the player. Say a few moments, I'll just share this image. It's seeing that secondary reality as a box, a bit like drama. As was said, it is a drama. And that we are the actors or the players, and giving that little direction to the mind or thought experiment to see everything that happened today as in a story. All the interactions and impressions, all in a small story. And this gives permission to come beyond the story. You can see the story as small, just for a few moments. Here, the one behind the role, the mask, the character that belongs to the story, but the actor behind the role comes to this primary space. Very different from the stage. Primary world is a place of silence. Silence with joy, with security, and inclusive. All belong, all are actors. And the love is not based upon the performance, so it's unconditional. Actors are these tiny, sparkling, living lights, pure energy, pure being, clean, full, complete, free, loving, joyful. They are the players that are given a gift. They also need a home, some stability, some silence. This connects them to their nobility, their honor. From there, they come to take part. They play to win, but they don't lose that orientation, bigger map. When they are conscious, and this option we have to reset anytime. As we continue the journey, it is with the hobby energy. This also can be light, fun, but also dedication, playing to win, winning the highest quality of life for the self and others around. Inner life. The outer world will reflect, but you win the inner game. Thank you. Thank you everyone for your presence. It's the energy created by all of us that is empowering to know that this invisible players from all corners, so stay connected. And so this will be uploaded to YouTube. We can drop the link to the channel, and there are courses and resources, so stay in touch. And thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Prashant. We'll see you next time.